Good evening and welcome. This is a meeting of the Special Education Advisory Committee of the Halton District School Board for Wednesday, March 25th. Given the first action item on the agenda is the election of the new chair and vice chair, and I will lead the meeting until such time as the new chair is elected or acclaimed. And at that time, I will be pleased to turn over the balance of the meeting to the new chair. So we're going to get started on a roll call. Sapna Gabna from the Association for Bright Children.
Yes, present.
From Autism Ontario, Amanda Winch and Jennifer Laguerre.
You only got Amanda today. Jennifer's not feeling good.
From Centre for Diverse Learners, Yelena King.
Hi there, I'm here.
From Community Living Burlington, either Sierra Kernick or Nadina Torek. Okay, from Community Living Oakville, Shania Jagnandan.
Hi there, present.
From Easter Seals, Melissa Dockeray.
Present.
And Omer Mirza.
Present. Hi, everyone.
Thank you and welcome, Omer.
Thank you.
From the Halton Down Syndrome Association, Sophia Siddiqui.
Hi, everyone.
From Voice, Aaron Sproul. Oh, and yes, he's present, but I understand his tech is not working. So thanks, Aaron. And our members at large, Kaija Klassen. No, Katie Schleifer.
Present.
Tara Conley.
Present.
Thank you. And our trustees, Audrey Wuppenhorst. Okay, Trustee Baxter.
Good evening.
I believe I saw Trustee Oliver.
Yes, good evening.
And Trustee Zhang. Wonderful, thank you. And tonight we have with us, as always, Conan Spruan, Principal of Special Education.
Good evening, everyone.
All right, wonderful, thank you. We have a full house tonight. We're going to begin with the acknowledgement of the traditional lands. We begin our meeting this evening by acknowledging the land and our responsibility to care for and respect all that provides us with life. This land upon which HDSB is situated is on the ancestral treaty and title lands of the Anishinaabe Ojibwe Michizagig Nation, now known as the Mississaugas of the Credit. Michizagig territory in the past and present continues to host both Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. The HDSB is committed to continuous knowledge building with respect to actions that address and resolve the ongoing impacts of colonialism. We do this by learning and understanding the true history, treaty obligations, duties and responsibilities, and Indigenous rights while actively maintaining mutually beneficial relationships and collectively respecting and caring for the land. Now, our first item on our agenda is the election of the chair and vice chair for the balance of the 2026 year. A nomination form was circulated in advance, and we did receive one nomination that was accepted for the chair, Sapna Gabna. And at this time, I'd like to open the nomination floor to see if there are any other nominations that would like to be considered for chair of SEAC. All right, and seeing no nominations from the floor, I'm pleased to acclaim Sapna as SEAC's new chair. Welcome and thank you, Sapna. And if you are ready, I'm happy to turn this over to you.
Sure, thank you so much. Moving on to the vice chair nomination. So nomination form was circulated in advance, and we did receive one nomination for vice chair, Katie Schleifer. At this time, I will open the nomination to the floor and ask each SEAC member if they would be willing to accept the nomination for Vice Chair. Okay, seeing no additional. Okay, then seeing no additional nominations, I'm pleased to acclaim Katie as CEAC's returning Vice Chair. Congratulations, Katie.
Thank you.
Am I continuing with the rest, or am I handing it back to you? Sorry, this is my first day as a chair.
My apologies, Sapna. No, I'm happy to have you continue on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so next is approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. Would anyone like to move a motion to approve the agenda? I'm sorry. I have to just pull the agenda.
And I see Aaron Spruill has agreed to move the agenda.
Would anyone like to second this motion, please? Thank you, Amanda. Are there any modifications or amendments that need to be made to the agenda, or any oppositions to the agenda as it stands? Okay, none being seen, the agenda is approved unanimously. Next is the approval of our February 18, 2026 meeting minutes. Would anyone like to move a motion to approve the minutes?
I will.
Thank you. Would anyone like to second this motion, please? Thank you, Amanda and Shania. Has anyone noticed any errors or omissions, or is there any opposition to the minutes as recorded? If so, please indicate that now. Okay. None being seen, the February 18, 2026 meeting minutes are approved unanimously. We do not have any action items this evening, so we will move to our SEAC discussion, input, and question period. Overview of self-contained programs. Last month, SEAC requested an overview of the HDSB programs and placements, and at this time, I will turn it over to Collins Praveen.
Thank you very much, Sapna. I'll just give you a second here to get set up. Okay, can we see my presentation? So we can see that. So good evening, everyone. My name is Conan Spruill, Principal of Special Education Services. Welcome for those who are new for the first time. I'm pleased to present an overview of the Halton District School Board's special education programs and placements. My goal today is to walk through the continuum of services we offer, detailing how we support students' unique learning needs from kindergarten all the way right through their transition into adulthood. So as we plan for the upcoming school year, I thought it would be vital for us to share with you some of the specific programs that we have that align with our board's commitments going forward. So at the HDSB, our foundational belief is that learning is a developmental process. We recognize and respect that students proceed through these stages at varying rates, and our programming must reflect that reality. And for many of us who are parents of more than one children, we certainly can recognize sometimes how our students and how our kids develop at different rates. Early recognition is critical, and identifying learning needs early is the most effective way we can ensure our students remain confident, engaged, and successful in their learning journey. This early intervention that we have is certainly not done in a silo. We have an extensive network of professionals who wrap around our students, and I will go through the list in a later slide, but just some examples include our psychoeducational consultants, speech and language pathologists, occupational therapists, social workers, and again, I'll go through some of the other great support workers that we have that work with our students and our school teams. So what is a special education program and what are the principles of placement and inclusion? So I thought just to ground the discussion here, a special education program, it really is defined under the Education Act. It's based on a continuous assessment and requires an individual education plan containing the specific objectives and outline of the exact educational services that would be tailored for that exceptional student. When it comes to the placement, we firmly are guided by the Human Rights Guidelines, and to be specific about that is the Human Rights Commission's Guidelines on Accessible Education. And also in the HDSB, we really value placement in a regular classroom setting, and we always give that the first consideration. We look at self-contained or specialized programs only when all multi-tiered systems of support in the regular classroom, even with significant accommodations and or modifications, have been explored and exhausted, and always in consultation with parental preferences.
Conan, there's a question. Do you want to take questions as we go?
Oh, sure. Sorry, I didn't realize that. Thanks. Yeah, I'm happy to take a question.
Shania, do you want to ask your question to Conan now?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize I'd done that. Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. I apologize. Sorry, Conan.
Sorry. Okay.
Oh, no, it's okay. Okay.
I think I fixed it.
No problem. So this is just another overview slide here where we have our placement and program supports that I talked about previously. So this slide basically shows the continuum of placements. So you can see there on the top sort of left part of the slide, a student might be in a regular classroom. A student might also be in the regular classroom, but receive more indirect support, resource assistance, or withdrawal assistance from a special education resource teacher or CERT or other in-school staff. For students who need more intensive supports, that's when we move to the more partial integration, where we still spend typically a majority of the time in the self-contained classroom, or a fully self-contained placement where they are in the specialized class all day or for the entire day. And you can see there, our classroom teachers are never alone. They're supported by the itinerant teachers, instructional program leaders. We have occupational therapists. I'll let you read the list there, but we have a large array of support staff that help us within our schools. So in terms of the programs, this is a quick snapshot here of the specialized programs that we have. So I will dive deeper into each of these programs and just give you a very sort of general top level understanding of each class. So we have the KELP, Alpha, ARC, CP, CPE, CPP, and our gifted programs. Before I delve a little bit into these programs, I just do want to point out what you see there on the right. That these programs really are framed around the HDSB core values in a multi-year strategic plan. So whether it's fostering learning, engagement, and achievement, we could look at on that wheel, for example, human rights, equity, and inclusion, supporting mental health and well-being. All of our programs, all the programs listed there, are designed to uphold the board's commitment to the holistic development of every student and to ensure every student can achieve success. So I'll dive into the KELP program a little bit. So KELP stands for Kindergarten Expressive Language and Literacy Program. So it is a year 2 kindergarten or senior kindergarten program. It is for students who are experiencing a significant expressive oral language delay. To access KELP, students need an assessment by a speech and language pathologist showing significant expressive delay, but still having near average comprehension. We do have some students, English language learners, and we also utilize what is called a first language skills checklist to make sure we are assessing them appropriately for this class as well too. It's a highly specialized setup in this program. It runs 2 half-year sessions, so from September to January, and then again from February to June. It operates on an alternative week schedule, so 1 week the students are in the KELP program, and the next week they are back in their home school. Moving on to grade 1, we have the Expressive Language and Phonological Awareness class, or ALPHA. So this is a full year self-contained placement for students needing intensive instruction in phonological awareness, early reading, writing, and expressive language. So students must meet the criteria for a communication language impairment. And how I describe this, the key sort of differentiator here is that while they have an expressive language impairment, they must have at least average receptive language. And what that essentially means is their comprehension is at the average or above average level. They must also demonstrate the social and behavioral readiness for the program. And at the end of grade 1, the alpha teacher and the speech and language pathologist, and I should note that the speech and language pathologists are heavily involved in these classes and assisting with the programming of these classes. The alpha teacher and the SLP assist the transitioning of the student back to the home school with specific recommendations for the receiving grade 2 teacher when they go back. Next, we have our communication program, or CP, and it is typically for students in grades 1 through 3. And they typically have a severe communication disorder that requires alternative curriculum goals rather than the Ontario curriculum. So it really is most, if not all, the students in this class have alternative curriculum goals. The primary goal of this class is to establish a functional communication system for the students. So the class uses what we call a total communication approach, meaning we use all kinds of areas to help them with their communication, including oral language, speech, spoken words, gestures, signs, pictures, AAC devices, and picture exchange communication systems, or what we call PECs for short. We're looking for students who are showing emergent joint attention and ability to follow some simple directions and intentional attempts at communication. So children sort of entering the class are showing a willingness to want to communicate and some communication skills there. This is typically a 1-year placement, at which point in time they transition back to their home school with some newfound skills. Next, we have the academic resource classroom. So this is for grades 4 through 8, and this is typically a partial integration placement tailored for students with identified learning disability and often have other exceptionalities as well. The focus here is on the foundational literacy component, so reading and writing expression. We also focus on some numeracy. There's a big look at executive functioning, like organizational skills, for example. And assistive technology is integral and a daily part of this program. Typically, students spend, when they first enter into the art class, full-time in the art class or most of their day in the art class. And then we start looking at integration back into the regular classroom as they spend their time in the ARC classroom. So again, as I said at the start, students must have an primary identification of a learning disability. And I won't get into the specifics of the range and what exactly that means, but essentially what it means is that their cognitive ability is in the average range, but they have information processing deficits causing significant academic underachievement, despite comprehensive accommodations. So it really is helping students with their information processing piece. Again, like I note, a lot of students in the art class have very complex profiles. So sometimes we do have a number of students in the program that present with additional exceptionalities alongside their primary LD. Before we consider an art class, and this goes back to our philosophy of placing students, placement in a regular classroom setting is always given the first consideration. But before we look at the ARC, we look at the considerable interventions that have happened in the regular classroom first, and what tiers and levels of support have happened in there first, before we consider that ARC placement. Optimally, ARC is a 2-year program. Typically, it's sort of considered as an intensive support and ongoing assessment program, always keeping the end goal in mind, where we want to have a well-planned transition back to the homeschool and supporting the ongoing communication with the homeschool and with parents. Next, we got Community Pathways Elementary, or CPE class. This is also like the ARC class for grades 4 through 8, where we have CPE. This program is for students who present with significant to severe developmental delays, and they may be in this placement full-time or partially integrated. It's a heavily focused on functional academic skills, essential life skills, communication, self-regulation, and independence. Students in the CPE typically have an identification of a mild intellectual disability or a developmental disability, and many of our students in this class have other exceptionalities that present as well too. These classes really are set up and require carefully structured, concrete learning experiences. And all of the students in this class, or almost all of the students in these classes, work primarily on alternative curriculum expectations. Depending on the student, It's very sort of individualized for them. Some students may use augmentative alternative communication or AAC devices. Some students have occupational therapy supports. And we look at every student uniquely and try to foster that individual independence based upon what their needs are. And most of these students, a vast majority of them, transition naturally into our community pathways program, CPP, in secondary, which I'll talk about right now. So as CPE students move into high school, they transition into the CPP. And the secondary level program emphasizes and kind of builds on the foundation of the CPE class, looking at critical life skills, active community participation, and employability, if deemed appropriate. Students take non-credit bearing courses and to develop independent or semi-independent living skills. And students are eligible to remain in the program until June of the calendar year in which they turn 21. There's lots of different ways students what the outcomes are for these classes. Some students graduate with a certificate of accomplishment. Some of our students graduate with an Ontario Secondary School certificate. Others look at specialized tracks where they're doing community skills and co-op placement, learning employability skills. So it really is a program that is specialized for the students to build that independence. We always look at trying to do a transition plan to help with students and families for their long-term community supports and going forward for when they finish at the age of 21. And the last program I'll talk about is our gifted elementary self-contained and secondary gifted clusters. So in gifted, across both our elementary and secondary panels, these programs are designed to provide differentiated learning experiences that increase the depth, breadth, and pace of instruction for the students who have the exceptionality of giftedness. They offer the vital intellectual stimulation and challenge that comes from congregation with peers of similar abilities. In elementary, so our elementary self-contained gifted classes, which I would like to note are exclusively in the English stream, provide a differentiated program that creates the depth, breadth, and pace of the curriculum, as I've just kind of already stated. But they also focus heavily on the unique social emotional needs of the gifted learner and look at things like executive functioning as well too. Secondary is a bit different. We have a cluster model in the secondary, and what we do here is this is a congregated class placement. So identified students take specific courses together with non-identified learners, but the curriculum within that cluster is strategically differentiated in scope and complexity for those students. And like many of our other self-contained classes and placements, many of our gifted students do have additional exceptionalities as well too, which can be identified, which they bring to the program as well too. So once again, that's a list of our programs. I've listed them there one more time. So we've got KELP, Alpha, CP, ARC, CPE, and CPP in our gifted programs. And those are programs that are continuing into next year. And we're looking forward to continuing them and supporting our students with exceptionalities going forward. So thank you very much for listening to this presentation. If there's any feedback or any questions or comments, I'm open to hearing anything that anyone would like to say. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Colin. I think I just wanted to appreciate bringing this presentation together. This was very, very helpful. I think a lot of us just focus on our core specialization areas or where we come from as backgrounds and know only about that. This comprehensive presentation just helped us understand all the different modules which are available to support our students. So it was a big learning for me, especially.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Does the committee have any questions or comments for Conan? Go on, Katie.
Hi, Conan. This is a little nitpicky. I don't like the icon for the gifted program in your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Noted. I'll change it.
You're welcome.
I think
Homer? Yeah.
Thank you very much. My question is that considering the wait time for speech and language pathologists through Halton District School Board, what is the wait time for the programs KELP, Alpha, CP, ARC for the students, and whether Halton District School Board have enough resources to entertain all those students who qualify?
Yeah, I thank you for that question, Omer. I'm happy to get us started, Conan, and if there's anything you want to add, by all means. We currently have 22 speech and language pathologists. Our speech and language pathologists don't provide therapy to students, so their role is solely focused on assessment and consultative services for educational programming. And the ministry has designated that therapy side of the speech and language role to a community partner that we work with, which is Aaron Oak. So in terms of our wait times for speech and language pathologists, it's quite good, typically less than 6 months. But often our speech and language pathologists don't do full assessments. They will come and do observations, provide recommendations, and an abbreviated report. So that really capitalizes on their skills, their expertise, but then uses their time efficiently in terms of abbreviated reporting. Given the window of time to get into our KELP and Alpha programs, it is a primary focus of their work kind of heading into the beginning of a new calendar year. So January, February, they're doing a lot of observations and assessments in anticipation of applications for KELP or for Alpha. For the communication program, given the window is 3 years, it can really depend on the student and the readiness of that student to be assessed in order to access the program. So just because the window opens for grade 1 doesn't necessarily mean that the best time to assess the student is in SK. It might be better for some students to wait till grade 1, grade 2, whereas other students, it might be best to assess them in senior kindergarten. So really, we capitalize on that window of time for the communication program. For our ARC class, that's our psychologists or our psychoeducational consultants, that our wait time is typically more like a year for an assessment. But we do expedite or prioritize if it is a requirement for access to a program. Our psychologists do a very good job at anticipating those and ensuring that they're done in a timely way for that optimal entry time for the student, which again is a window from grade 4 to 8, knowing that our ARC program is typically a 2-year placement. So not everybody needs to enter in grade 4 and leave by grade 6. Some are best served in their regular classroom in grade 4 and 5 and enter into the ARC program in grade 6 or grade 7. So Conan, is there anything to add there?
No, I don't think so. I think that covered it.
Okay. Omar, did that make sense, or do you have any follow-up for that?
Thank you very much for the detailed response. My understanding was that the wait time for speech and language therapist block program through community partner, which is Aranok, is more than 6 months. That was my understanding. So that's why I was thinking whether we have enough resources for every child that qualifies for this. Thank you.
And thank you for that, Omar. So that is the wait time for therapy, for speech therapy with Aaron Oak is not a wait list that we manage. And so that is really in the hands of that community partner. And you're right, it is typically more than 6 months.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we're now at our next item, which is communications to SEAC. We'll start with Superintendent's report. I will ask Colette Reddock to share her report, please.
Yeah, thank you. So again, welcome to Omer Mirza. He, at the March board meeting, trustees voted to accept Omer as the alternate for the Easter Sales Society. and Sapna, who was originally an alternate for ABC, at that same meeting was accepted as the primary member for ABC. So I thank you again, Sapna, for taking on the role of chair and now the primary representative for ABC. At the last meeting, I did say that I was going to bring an update around staffing and some of the budget efficiencies. And I said that I would share these as they unfold, because each employee group has different timelines within their collective agreements to inform them of surplus declaration. So at this point in time, I'm only going to share the ones that have already been communicated to the individuals impacted, but I do commit to bringing any additional efficiencies to you as they unfold in future CX. So ones that have kind of been announced to date are 3 structured reading coaches. Our structured reading coaches currently provide coaching support to our elementary and secondary schools to implement Tier 3 literacy interventions. This coaching and support will continue, but it's going to shift to our instructional program leaders who each have a family of schools that they support. So it's still very important work, and we are committed to maintaining it, but it will be done by our IPLs and not our structured reading coaches. Sophia?
Hi, I just had a question. So I know there's no reading coaches anymore, but the IPLs, in terms of like Tier 3 literacy supports, I'm just thinking of the students that we represent here, particularly like whether it's CPP elementary or high school. It doesn't seem to me like in the last few years in high school that there is a lot of Tier 3 supports that's happening for the high school students. I know that there was a program, Readitopia, that was rolled out for this group, but to be honest, I don't know if you guys have done any sort of surveying of staff. Like, staff are finding it a bit difficult to get on board, and not many of them are having trouble. Like, I know there was some training, but I don't know if it's being implemented in every school and every program from what families have shared. I'm just wondering how much support are IPLs offering to teachers in the buildings, or do they work directly with students, or are they supporting staff?
Yeah, great question. So our IPLs support staff and families. They will model with students, but it's the school-based staff that provide the direct support and intervention. So we are in only year 2 of Readtopia, so very early days in terms of implementation, and that is certainly known to us around the unevenness of the implementation of Readtopia across all of our sites, our CPP and CPE sites. We do have a plan to really go deeper with that implementation of Readtopia through identifying a champion at each school, ensuring that champion, which is a teacher, is very skilled and has opportunities to model and co-plan and co-teach with their colleagues. We have direct support from the company through one-to-one coaching sessions, and we're continuing to build the awareness and skill of our CERTs in all of our schools, and our administrators who can have some of those accountable conversations. So I appreciate absolutely the urgency of implementation, but also knowing in a large organization that anything new is a complex implementation plan that takes time and commitment and perseverance to really build that fidelity across all of our classes.
For sure. So you mentioned IPL support families. What does that look like?
So when I say that in terms of conversations, they participate in meetings, they participate in school resource team sessions, case conferences. They might be with the family and school during an IPRC. So they're part of the circle of support for the student, and they engage with families.
Okay, sorry. And so in the same vein, it's a bit unrelated, but I think in the same regards to literacy supports, and building capacity. I know in the past I've brought up like summer opportunities for our students, and there hasn't really been a lot. I know there was some ATRT camps that were very limited. But is this something we can look into for our kids, like when it comes to, especially with the ministry mandates around literacy? Would there be an opportunity for any type of summer programming? I know in the past you guys have done virtual, but around literacy or numeracy supports, but anything virtual or summer, any supports in the summer for our students?
You're full of great questions tonight, Sophia. So another great question. Thank you.
I try to be impactful when I can make it out.
No, I appreciate it. So in COVID and post-COVID, we did receive quite a lot of money from the ministry to run learning recovery summer programs. This year, this past summer was the first summer where we no longer received what they call a REP, or a special kind of envelope of funding to run these summer programs. We did receive some funding, but it was no longer to offer kind of literacy or numeracy programs, but it was to provide EA support in summer school. And transition support, so that when we have staff in our schools in August to work with families and students on transition into school. So there, the ministry's focus on how we can use those funds shifted last summer. We don't know about this summer. We haven't heard anything yet. So we'll just have to wait and see what comes forward from the ministry in terms of this rep and how we're allowed to spend it.
Okay. I guess I would just want to advocate. I use this opportunity to advocate to say that, there's all these extra opportunities for, kids writing the literacy test in high school or EQAO, and there's extra, sessions being offered, but it's always our most vulnerable students who need the most support that are not getting any type of extra support, right? And even the literacy program, I've been hearing about it for 3 years, and not to say, and you're right, it's a system and we roll it out. I completely understand, but it's like, our kids are, really struggling. They need life skills around literacy. And, it's been 3 years. So my son's been in high school and several of his peers. And I keep telling parents, it's coming. And the frustration is valid, I think, or there's just not a lot of support for these students. And they are the most vulnerable. They have a couple of years left in high school, and we're just not seeing the support there. So if there's any pocket of funding that you could offer, think out of the box, let's be creative, whether it's summer learning loss for our kids is huge. So if we can try and be creative, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I hear you, and I really appreciate what you're saying, Sophia. I wonder from our community partners, and perhaps this is a question that we can bring back from our associations, that I know that they often run summer programming for students within that particular exceptionality or area that they or the area that they serve. And so if there's something that each association has to share around summer programming and supports, I think this would be a really great forum to amplify that message.
Could I ask that we maybe put something together? Because I think parts of the challenge is, you're totally right. There's lots of things being offered, but often families just don't know about them. And I think sometimes that communication piece, like I know, was it Learning Disabilities Ontario had a great literacy program, and they shared it with us a couple of years ago, and we shared it with our families, and people were really grateful. So yes, if any organizations are offering something, maybe we can centrally send them all to you, and then maybe you share that with our organizations so we can get that information out there.
Yes, absolutely. We can send out a reminder email to everyone, and we'd be happy to collate that information.
Awesome. Thank you.
Shania?
Hi, thanks. I actually meant to raise my hand this time. In response, sort of, Sophia, to your question, and I was going to raise my hand during the association reports, but I guess now is a good time. I was here to chat about Community Living Oakville. We do run a community participation support day program all through the year, Monday to Friday. But this year I'm doing my best to specifically chat with the school boards about getting students in for like July and summer. The only thing is we are a fee-for-service program, so we are not funded by the ministry to run the specific program. I don't know if there's like more in the superintendent report, so if you folks want to finish up with that, and then I can like share the details in the association report section, or I can just do the full update about my program now. We don't know how firm.
I mean, that sounds amazing. If you could even send some of your information to
sure, yeah,
to here, and then we can all get that information in writing, so we can share with our families. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I can send it to Laura definitely, and send out the flyer. Ultimately, so we are like. We're called Excel. We run Monday to Friday, so 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. That said, like folks don't have to sign up for like the full 5 days. You can almost shop like a la carte. So if you just want to do like Mondays and Wednesdays, or you just want to do like Tuesdays or what have you for the summer, either of those are an option. We're a 1-to-4 ratio, so we do are looking for like a certain level of independence, and that we go entirely out into the community. So anyone who is potentially a wanderer with a strong risk of elopement might not be the best fit for a program. But we do offer supports in terms of like general behaviors with like hygiene supports, foods, things like that. And we try to be out and about in the community as much as possible. So we have like memberships to like Halton Conservation, so YMCA. We'll go to like the zoo. We'll do a lot of bowling if the weather's not so great. A whole bunch of different things. And it is very much on my mind. It's something that I'm working on a grant for right now to try and build in some bit more of like life skills. So trying to get in something like a cooking class, trying to get in a little bit more financial literacy where and when we can. That said, and it will be on the flyer, like because we're fee for service, we are $135 a day. So I know that a lot of the folks who come to our program right now, like they do use their passport funding to support that. So I'll send out I'll send the info to Laura. Maybe we can send the flyer with the minutes, and anyone who wants to talk about it, like happy to do so. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And yes, by all means, if anyone has anything that their associations are running in the summer, we'd be happy to collate it, share it out, and then we can certainly also have you speak to it at our next meeting. So that'd be great. So in terms of additional budget efficiencies, we will be reducing our assistive technology leads by 2 FTE. So right now it's a team of 4. And those leads provide teacher and staff training on how to use assistive technology. And I do want to say that this is separate from communication devices, that that support is done through our assistive technology leads. Our assistive technology SLPs. But these are teachers in these lead positions. And they also support some of the SIA processes. So we are shifting to coaches, so 2 coaches who will assume the responsibility of the teacher and student training side of the current role, and then the process administration side will shift to some others on the team. I had mentioned the last month also around some class sizes, and that we were, looking at mocking up some class size changes. So I'm here to share that in our Community Pathway Program, our CPE, there are no changes. That's remaining at approximately 10 students. In the Communication Program, it currently is approximately of 8 students in the class, and that will be increasing to 10 students. And really we're mirroring the CPE program class. So typically it's a similar portrait of a student. And so we found 10 is a good number for CPE. And so we think it will work nicely for our communication program as well. Our ARC class, that is our students with learning disabilities and sometimes a secondary exceptionality such as ASD or behavior. These are currently approximately 10 students in the class, and these classes will increase to 14. Our CALP and Alpha, which you heard Conan say around our early language and literacy intervention classes, currently sit at 12 students, and they will increase to 15 for the kindergarten class, the CALP class, and 16 for the Alpha. Our gifted classes, there's no change. They are a maximum of 25 students in elementary, and our secondary, we're maintaining the cluster model, and as shared, I think, last year, that we're expanding that each school will offer their own clusters, so our gifted students will be able to attend their home high schools. And then the last is our CPP classes in our secondary. And again, no change. They will remain at an average of 12 students, which means that schools that run multiple classes can build some classes smaller and then some classes larger to a maximum of 16 students. So that's what we have announced so far. And as I say, I will bring additional efficiencies as they unfold. But I'm happy to pause there and see if there's any questions about the class sizes and those other efficiencies.
I have a question about the communication program. Is that just the average across the communication programs? Because I know that some of the physical classrooms in some of the schools are much smaller than some of the other schools. So is that kind of like an average across the schools, or will each program location have 10?
Yes, so it's not necessarily an average across all schools. It's kind of a target that we build towards, but in some cases there might only be 8 or 9 students because that's how many students have, kind of met criteria and accepted the placement. But that's part of the conversation with schools, is to ensure that the size of the room is suitable for the number of students. So that is certainly a part of our transition conversation, because we do know some of the classrooms are small because it's been a smaller group in the past. Yeah. Amanda?
I just wanted to ask about, with the increased class sizes, one issue that's been an ongoing discussion for the last couple of years anyway, is the decrease in EA supports. So with those class sizes increasing, is EA supports also increasing in those classes, or is that remaining the same?
Yeah, that's a great question. And this is Conan's favorite topic. Conan, can you please speak to the EA allocation process and how you gather that data and what that looks like?
Yeah, I'll just give a very quick 20-second summary. So for how we do EA allocation for all schools, whether it be regular stream or self-contained classes, we call them school needs assessment, but we break it down to each individual student. So each student, we do a needs assessment of that student. And the primary criteria for EAs is personal care, safety, and alternative curriculum, and being able to access alternative curriculum, typically communication devices. So that's the criteria. And classes will get staffed and schools get staffed based upon the needs assessment in that class. And so we don't have a one-size-fits-all where, for example, every single CPE class gets the exact same amount of EAs. We look at it based upon the individual needs in that class or in that school in the totality, and we staff it based upon that. So you can see one CPE class with more EAs than another CPE class, and that is based upon the needs of that school. So we recognize that EAs are a finite resource. So we really make that criteria around personal care, safety, alternative curriculum, and the needs that we see in the school and in that classroom. So I don't know if that answered the question or not.
Yeah, kind of. It was, like I said, it was more with the increased class sizes. Obviously, increased class in some of these, not all of, but some of these classes are going to obviously increase need. And so, if it would just make sense. But that being said, it's also been a very sore point for the last few years for the fact that there seems to be a lack of. So, just curious, and I guess I have also some concern about the fact that obviously with the lack of EAs, increasing classes is going to, how is that going to relate to student engagement, student learning, if they don't have the proper supports because the EAs are stretched thin as it is, right?
Yeah, and sorry, Conan. I do want to acknowledge, Amanda. Our EAs do an amazing job. It's a big job, and it's not an easy. It's not easy work. So you're absolutely right that they have a challenging working. Kind of a challenging working condition in terms of how many students they support, the complexity of the students, and then, as you say, it's already stretched thin, and we're increasing class sizes. One of the things that we are working on is prompt fading for our students. So what we find is when a student is intensely supported by an educational assistant in the early years, that the kids become very dependent on the EA to support them. And our EAs become very, we'll say, kind of maternal or parental in how they support the kids in the school. And so we're really actively teaching our EAs how to fade the support to create the space that kids need to grow their independence to whatever level each individual child can grow that independence to. And we know that varies greatly from child to child. But we do want to really create those opportunities for kids to show us what they can do with less intensive supports when that's appropriate. And I do want to recognize that it's not appropriate for all kids, but we also do, through the best of intentions, create an interdependent relationship. And we want to kind of unpack that and ensure that we're fading those prompts so kids can grow in those spaces. Sapna?
Hi, Colette. So I actually have twofold questions. One is the changes in target size, where some of the programs are seeing increase in the target size as well. Is it because of the budget deficits that we addressed that were presented in a few meetings ago, or is there any other reason behind it? I'm just trying to understand that piece, because obviously it impacts, to Amanda's earlier point, on how much support each child is getting. And two, I'm also interested in understanding how does that compare to any other board of the same size as Halton Board in Ontario?
Yes, and so it is absolutely driven by budget and the budget challenges that we are facing for the next school year. We had Roxana Nagoy, the Superintendent for Business Services, come in I think it was October, to do an initial budget presentation with SEAC. And at that point, she highlighted that we need to find 7 to 14 or $9 to $14 million dollars in savings for next year. And that special education, as we know, continues to spend beyond its funded levels. Our class sizes are all funded at 16:1. So the ministry does not provide more intensive funding or increased funding based on exceptionality. All self-contained classes are funded at 16:1. And we have made some very intentional decisions around which classes we believe should be staffed at a lower ratio at 16:1 and which ones we can stretch. We've done a jurisdictional scan when we made these decisions, and we are very much in alignment with a number of boards. I mean, I think we looked at 6 or 7 different boards as a sampling, and we're kind of we're landing in around the same place that those boards have landed in terms of their class sizes. So we feel like we've made good decisions within the context that we're in. We are looking to continue to serve our students, but optimize those resources. So that's where we've made some choices to increase class sizes to ensure we can still run the programs and get creative at making our dollar go farther.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other questions on the. Oh, I'm sorry, Katie. I'm sorry. Pardon me. Go ahead.
That is okay. This is going to go to Conan. It's actually to follow up on Amanda's question. So I know EA support is dependent on the unique needs of the students. And I assume that's based on kind of how they perform and what those behaviors might look like based on the class sizes that we have now. I think that we all know that sometimes when you increase the class sizes, especially with some of our students, some of the behaviors result in dysregulation and maybe additional elopement, things that we wouldn't see in a smaller class size. So if those kind of behaviors change where we need additional EA support because the class sizes have increased, which, increases the dysregulation, is there like a backup plan for what that might look like when we have these increased class sizes?
Yeah, I can speak a bit to that. So, to your point, yes, certainly, I think there's two ways to look at it. Need doesn't necessarily go up because the student number goes up, but I also see your point too, where bigger numbers can change the environmental structure of a class, which can increase certain types of behaviors. We do have the flexibility within our system to move EAs around throughout the school year based upon changing needs, which we see in schools. I won't name schools right now, but just yesterday, we're in the process of moving EAs from one school to another because the student needs have changed from one school to another. So we do finalize EA allocation within schools in May and June. And so schools start with an allotment of EAs in September, but we have the flexibility to move that around based upon needs, whether it be proactive or reactive, to move our support staff around. We do have some central supports, so our IPLs go out there all the time. They're constantly assessing what the needs are, and then we reevaluate and adjust as much as we can to meet that needs, because as we know, it throughout the year, kids' needs change, and sometimes, as Colette said, we have some prompt fading. Some kids mature, some behaviors change, some needs change, and they may not need EAs. And then we have some students where the EA needs increase or unexpected safety behavioral needs. So we do have the flexibility throughout the year to move and adjust as those needs come about.
Thank you.
Okay, not seeing any more questions on the class sizes. Next is the sports festival, and Conan, I wonder if you want to talk about the 2 days of sports festival for our students.
Yes, so just quickly for anyone who is new here or doesn't know, we run what is called the sports festivals with our friends at the Special Olympics Ontario. We do it twice a year at the Milton Velodrome. So we did it in October, and we've just had a second round to visit there today and tomorrow. Proud to say that we had over 150 students today, and we're going to have another more than 150 students tomorrow. So it really is, it's a fun, non-competitive event. It's designed for our CPE students with intellectual and physical disabilities. It's basically an entry point for sports and physical activity. We have lots of non-competitive games, bowling, we have soccer, kicking, all kinds of different things that we've done. It was a great day. I was there today. Tons of smiles, kids having a great time, staff having a great time. So it's a wonderful event. If you can ever come out or you want to come out tomorrow, you're welcome to pop by the Milton Velodrome tomorrow between 10 and 1 o'clock and cheer on some of our athletes.
Thanks. And the last item in my report is around the upcoming new term for SEAC. So it's hard to believe that we are in the final stretch for this SEAC's term. I'm looking at Carol. I think it's the end. October is our official end date for this 4-year term. And so planning is underway to recruit for our 2026 to 2030 SEAC a committee, which is hard to believe we're saying the words 2030. So this process involves collaboration with our communications department, special education staff, and the director's office. And we will be going out to the public through a range of channels to promote that we are open for submissions and interest from associations and members at large. All of your associations will be invited to resubmit, and they would need to resubmit both their interest as an association and their representatives. And our members at large are certainly welcome to apply again. So you have been a wonderful SEAC to work with, and I know we're not done, but I certainly hope that many of you choose to continue on in this work. And do that through the application process, whether through your association or through the email that will be sent out. So all of this is really in the planning stages. We will be sharing more information over email and in upcoming meetings. All right, thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you, Colette. Moving on to association reports. Please indicate by raising your hand if you would like to share anything from your association this evening. Okay, moving on to the next topic on trustees report. I'd like to call on Trustee Baxter or Webbenhorst, please.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Just have one thing I wanted to mention this evening. Not all members of SEAC are parents or guardians of current students in the board, so I just wanted to share a message that was sent out on Monday by Chair Collard to families on behalf of all trustees of the board to express our appreciation for engagement in the budget development process for the next school year. In addition to the budget workshops that Colette just mentioned that we participated in here at SEAC, there was also an opportunity to comment via a digital survey that received over 3,000 responses from students, parents, and staff. And I'll just briefly share that the major priorities for funding that were identified by respondents included special education supports, not surprising at all, class sizes, school facility repairs and upgrades, mental health and well-being, and curriculum delivery. There's more information on how school boards are funded, the full results of the consultations that were conducted, some really good FAQs that Superintendent Ngoy put together, and also updates on the budget process that are all found on the board website. So please, if you have some time, take a look there for more detail. And as Chair Collard had shared, trustees are very grateful for the time and the thoughtful input that was shared by all contributors, students, families, staff, obviously the SEAC. Those perspectives play a central role in shaping the budget that will support student success and reflect the priorities of the Halton community. And the feedback will guide the discussions as we continue through the process at the board level to move toward a final budget report that will come in June. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. At this time, I will go through the list of standing committees and ask for any updates from the SEAC representatives on these committees. Accessibility and Coordinating Committee.
Yeah. Okay, so I was not at this meeting, but I did talk to Trustee Baxter, who was able to attend. And one of the interesting things that I think we'd probably like to see if SEAC would be interested in as well, is Dave Colley, who's the general manager of Halton Transportation Services. He gave a presentation to the AODA on our buses that serve our special education students and those with disabilities, and the training that the drivers need to go through, and kind of the process and what that looks like, and some improvements that they can do. And Carol mentioned that it was a really interesting presentation that I think would be of value to SEAC if we want to put that on a future agenda. We will also be doing an in-school visit on May 28th, which is fantastic, and I will share the results from that. It's usually, I don't know the school yet, but it's usually a newer school within the board where we see kind of the improvements that they've been able to make for all students, but especially those in our special education programs. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're now at our next item, where we're going to talk about the next agenda or order paper. Are there any items that committee members would like to added to an upcoming agenda? And as always, if you have any suggestions between meetings, please reach out to Laura by email too. I actually have a question on this piece. As a member and representative of ABC Halton Group, I sometimes see questions come my way from the parents, and a lot of times sometimes I do not have answers to the questions, and I'm not sure who to reach out to, and I'm not sure if the other committee members also have similar situations. Is there an opportunity for us to add a standing agenda in all of our upcoming meetings where we can keep a few minutes for any questions that are not a part of the other agenda topics but needed to be answered to support the parents and the committee and the communities that they're representing?
Yeah, thanks for that suggestion, Sapna. Often when a question comes forward to a SEAC representative or an association, the best first step is to reach out to me directly, or Conan as well, and share that question with us. Often the question or the situation is very student specific, that it requires a very tailored response. Sometimes it involves us connecting with the school to gather a little bit more information in order to provide an accurate or fulsome response. If that question identifies something that we agree would be a great thing for everyone to know, then it would be very appropriate to bring it here to the larger group to share for shared learning. But I would worry if the questions were presented here that we'd not always be able to answer them because they'd be very student specific, and we'd need to know more information, and B, it might be inappropriate to answer it in this form.
No, that's fair. Thank you so much.
You're always welcome to reach out to me directly or connect me to the parent directly as well.
Okay, perfect. I will be sending you an email too on this. Okay, if there are no proposed agenda items right now, you all can reach out to Laura by email and with your suggestions before the next meeting, please.
And sorry, Sapna, if I could just add, so I love the idea of the presentation from HSTS. So I will reach out to Dave Colley and see if he's able to join us at one of our final 3 meetings for this school year. We'll definitely see what we can do.
Thank you. We have exhausted our agenda for this evening, so I will call this meeting adjourned and look forward to seeing everyone at our next meeting on April 15th at the usual time, 7 p.m. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Great job, Sapna.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.